I don't really show my face a lot on this channel, and I don't really know how I feel about it, but I digress. If you are an artist wanting to get better quicker, and you are not progressing at the desired rate in which you want to, I might be able to help you with that. Today I'm going to be going over some of my old art and pinpointing where I've made mistakes. So, maybe you don't have to make the same mistakes that I have. I'm trying to grow as an artist. I want you to grow. Let's work together, shall we? Yeah, I'm still not really good at this, so don't judge me too hard. The art. Yeah, the whole reason I'm making this video. Let's do that. I'm going to show you how I went from this to this, using 5 important key points to consider if you're trying to get better at character illustration. Number 1, line of action. I want you to look closely at the initial lines I laid down before fleshing out my character. They have a lot of curve and personality, even before building onto them. This is because I knew the exact pose I wanted to draw and imagined what feelings and expressions I wanted to convey. It's important that you lay down the groundwork for your pose. Make it as loud and crisp as possible, if that makes sense. You can do this by drawing a quick, sharp line following your character's head to their feet. Does a line curve and convey fluid motion, or is it straight and stiff? These lines can determine how effective your final line work is going to be. Number 2, general poses versus character-defining poses. Piggybacking off of my last point, my previous drawing didn't represent the characters the way I wanted. Each pose was still unexpressive and didn't capture any personality or unique qualities. I want you to think about your OC, if you have any. How would they stand? Are they social? Closed off? Do they have a temper? Are they laid back? What's their motive in your story? I wanted Rowan to have a very playful pose, but I didn't want him to just be throwing the peace sign. That's kind of boring and basic. I wanted him to sort of be flailing around and be wide-eyed, silly, upbeat, energetic. The next character packs a lot of attitude and is defensive and fiery and confident. So I wanted to really exaggerate her hips and give her a bit of a head tilt. Of course, keeping the feminine cat eyes going and her signature traits, but for the most part, she's very, very intimidating. For Tristan, he's more of a laid-back character, observant, slow-moving, and thoughtful, so I gave him more or less a standard casual pose. He's not going anywhere. He doesn't want to. Fluidity and proportions, number 3. My 2017 drawing wasn't too shabby, but, I could have done better with my anatomy. I didn't have a bad sense of it, but I think somewhere in there I forgot that hips existed, along with the pelvis. In between the midriff and the crotch, there isn't a lot of structure, so this time I made sure to put boxes and directional lines where the chest and pelvis would be. I also didn't have a lot of knowledge on how eyeballs worked. Which, I'm still working on it, but each of their eyes now has a different, more defined shape, as opposed to oversized, uneven, bulging pupils. To add even more fluidity, I made sure to draw their clothes moving in the same direction as their movements, which can keep clothing from looking tight, sticking to the body, and having no motion. Also, if you don't do this already, please make sure to flip your line work. This will prevent it from being lopsided, and you can easily spot mistakes that you probably wouldn't spot otherwise. Number 4. Gradients and appropriately colored line art. Look, I'm not saying you should shade everything this way, but when you're trying to add life to a drawing and you don't know if you want to make it a fully rendered piece, gradients are your best friend. You can also quickly color your line art by choosing a single warm color, then setting your line art layer to multiply. It will blend over your base colors and make everything look natural. Consider your line weight. My last drawing had no depth and the lines were flat and thin. This time I went over specific areas with a thick pen to add depth, such as under clothing, where belts hung over hips, and certain crevices in coats and pants. Leading to my last point, number 5, clothing. This one is definitely one of my weaker spots, and I still wasn't completely happy with the changes I made to their clothes. However, I definitely wanted to spice it up and make them look a little bit more like they're from the universe I imagined them in. I never paid as much attention to this, and clothes were always kind of an afterthought. I recommend Pinterest boards, looking at styles from your own favorite shows and movies, and considering the specific environments that they're living. Things like professions, weather, personality, and timeline should also be considered. My universe is based more around a futuristic, post-capitalism, techwear type setting. While I'm definitely still figuring out what that looks like to me, blue jeans, t-shirts, cardigans, and plain flats just weren't gonna cut it. Alright, my friends, there you have it. Tips that have helped me that I hope help you as well. If you have any more tips, please feel free to share. I would love to read them. Yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next one, probably, if I make another video. I don't know, I probably will. Okay, bye!